Hey everyone, I feel like at this point, should we even be surprised at what happens in the world anymore? Like, the world is just going crazy. What on earth is going on? I mean, just when we thought things couldn't get any more bizarre, Reddit and Gamestop have given us a juicy bit of drama to kind of sink our teeth into. So in today's video, I'm just going to talk about what's going on with this whole Gamestop drama in the stock market, and what I think, my thoughts on it, if you're even tempted on getting involved, if you're struggling with FOMO and you are thinking about dipping your toes in. Okay, so for those of you who aren't aware, people have become millionaires overnight, made thousands of dollars overnight by investing in a stock called GameStop. And GameStop is actually a company, a bricks and mortar company, very similar to Blockbuster in how it's kind of spread throughout the US, and it sells essentially games. And it's a company that wasn't remarkable, and even further to that, most people actually thought the company was going to go the route of Blockbuster, which is just downhill and potentially bust. Because of the trajectory they thought this company was going, they had started to short the company. And what does short mean? It essentially just means that you bet against it so you make money. And I will give a brief little description about what shorting is here in a very pasta example now. So let's assume this pasta, this linguine, costs £1. And I borrowed this linguine from the linguine makers. I borrow it and I say,
"Hi, Mr. Linguine Maker, I want to borrow your pasta for, let's say, a month, and I will give you back your same pasta in a month's time. Will you let me borrow it?"
And the linguine guy says, "Nothing to lose. Okay, fine. You can give me back, but with interest, because I'm lending it to you, so I can't sell it right now." So I borrow this pasta for £1, and then I quickly sell it for £1. I quickly get it off my shelf. But I've done my analysis and all of that jazz, and I actually think this linguine is going to go down in value. As I expected or predicted, the linguine starts to go down in value, which means for each pack of linguine that used to be £1, let's say they are now worth 50p. So what happens? I then decide to buy back this linguine for 50p. So I've bought it back for much less than I sold it for. And so instead of one, I now have two for the same price. And so what do? I still have a debt that I owe to the original guy I borrowed the linguine from, so I pay him back the linguine with a little bit of interest. But the money that I have left over is the profit that I've made. And in essence, I've doubled my money. And so this is essentially what shorting the stock is. But because you borrow it on interest, invariably, if that stock doesn't go down and starts to go up in value, it means that for me to pay back the original guy I borrowed the money from, it's going to cost me more plus interest, and I'm going to have to actually foot the bill for all of the interest, and I'm essentially going to make no money. Instead, I'm going to lose money. So that is what shorting the stock is in a really bizarre kind of example. So the big hedge funds are essentially traveling happily along, doing what hedge funds do, make money, right? But what they did not expect, I don't think anyone expected this, as the power of people, the power of sheer volume, masses of people and number, and also the power of social media. So Reddit users essentially rallied together to somewhat work against the shorting that a lot of these big hedge fund companies were doing. And how they did that was essentially by buying and holding the stock. The principle of supply and demand. When something is in demand, its value goes up. And that's how the market works. That's how it's supposed to work, So if the market is working the way it should work, what's the big deal? The second twist that came about in this is that a lot of apps, trading apps that are supposed to facilitate the free movement of the market, buying and selling, to actually allow the value of things to be true to market, transactions, some of these companies decided to stop people being able to actually purchase, which is quite alarming because essentially you are somewhat driving what value a stock is going to hold, because if people can't buy it, it won't keep going up in value. And if the only thing people can do is sell, then invariably the only way that stock can go is down. The value is only ever going to go down. So somewhat, yeah, just not unethical, I suppose, is the word. I don't know. It's brought up a whole new set of questions about what the market and stock market investing actually means. And I don't know, is this going to be a game changer? What do you think? I have to say, there are some things that happened in Gamestop that actually should have meant that its value would have gone up. You know, it had a new CEO, new members of the board who had a track record in actually operating in, on the online market. So this new board should have actually meant that the stock should have naturally started going up in value. But a lot of the massive companies had kind of bet against this happening. They kind of doubled down on shorting it to make sure that they wouldn't lose. And the Reddit users thought, we're not having it. We are gonna, turn the tables on the massive hedge funds, which has led us to the situation that currently exists now. So right now, it's still going on and no one knows when it's gonna end, but it's fairly safe to say that it's probably gonna come crashing down at some point because it's not grown naturally. It's not grown based on someone looking at the stock, looking at the company, valuing it and deciding whether it's worth them putting their money in to get money out in the future based on the activity the company is actually doing. A lot of the growth that has happened with GameStop is purely based on hype. It's been based on social media. It's been based on people intentionally purchasing it and kind of propping it to go against the people who have shorted the stock, which at this point happens to be a lot of the big hedge fund companies who are big losers at the moment financially. And a lot of the smaller investors have used their group power to purchase this, and some have cashed out. They've actually, paid off masses of debt, with the money that they've made overnight. Some are still holding, sitting on the stock, crossing their fingers that it's still going to go up in value. But that's a little bit of game of hot potato, who's left holding it. And it's a very dangerous game to play. But my thoughts personally are, in as much as you might be tempted to get in on the action, and I know you look at the numbers and you think, do you know what, if I just put a little bit of cash in there, I could easily double my money, make an extra grand, 2 grand, 10 grand, whatever it is. But very easily, in the same way, you could absolutely decimate your money and completely lose it overnight as well. So, the odds can go either way, and that is not what we promote here at The Inspired Baobab. We are all about real investing, which is actually looking at something, ascertaining the value, the true value, and actually putting money in for the long term and seeing that grow based on real value and not just hype. Okay, like Warren Buffett says, the rear view mirror is always clearer than the windscreen ahead. So if you're hearing about this now, it's probably too late. The ship has probably already sailed. So have a strategy for when things are volatile. Don't jump on the bandwagon of gambling on these individual highs and lows that, could just make your heart fall out your chest. So, but if you want to do it, if you're someone who's happy to kind of gamble and lose all of that money, fair enough, but call it gambling, not investing. So as for me, I'm going to be taking out my popcorn and watching the drama unfold. I'm not going to lie, I am partial to a little bit of drama, so it's going to be an interesting watch. It's going to make for some very entertaining news, but I myself will not be participating. That's it from me today. I am Vimbai from The Inspired Baobab. We talk about all things money and mindset. So if you're interested in any of that, please subscribe, click the like button, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.